we call it a village town because it's a town made of villages. Because what we've found is that people like to live in face-to-face communities where roughly 250 to 750 people is the optimal size, where you know everybody and they know you, and where people naturally look out for each other in that size. You don't have to have social services programs. People just, if somebody falls, they get picked up. And it just happens. It's always happened. It's the way human beings work. The problem with a size community that way is that economically, the only thing it will support is one general store. There's just not enough critical mass. To get critical mass, you need 5 to 10,000 people. And then I'm sure if you have a 10,000 population community here, you'll have a whole street of stores and lots of things that occur. And so to get the two of those, you create a town made of villages, so that each village is, let's say, an average of 500 people, 200 families, but right next to it is another village. Next to it's another village. Each village has its own plaza in the middle. It has its school classrooms for the elementary school. Because what you find is that, first of all, that saves a lot of money in development rather than having a big campus. But it also means that the kids are experiencing the role models that they're going to become. They're much better behaved. For example, you don't eat in a school cafeteria where you have a teacher trying to keep them from throwing food. They're going to eat with the adults, either go home for a meal or they're going to eat in the cafe. And I know because we raised our daughter that way. She's very well behaved. She's not 22, but she was very well behaved when we went out, because if she wasn't, somebody would have given her the dirty eye and she would have recognized, straighten up. And so we find when children are interacting with adults all the time, they learn to be little adults in essence, and they learn to become much better citizens as when they grow older. And so each village creates that own identity for itself. And we're hoping that each village will actually have a different character to it based on the initial people who come together. That we find there are people who they say, oh, I was born to do this. And between the people I know and the people they know, we're going to have those 200 houses filled, and this is what it's going to be like. And then they articulate their own vision, and it can be based on any number of different values that they share in common. We don't make that decision. One of the important things that brings up that's very key to understand is it is non-ideological. So it isn't an eco-village. It isn't, there's all sorts of intentional communities that say this is our belief system. Some of them are pretty nuts. Some of them are, they're all over the board. This one is intending to represent the cross-section of the United States of America or of California, that whatever is average here, normal here, that we hope to have all of those kinds of people within the community. And frankly, I kind of hope it, that I'm sitting in the cafe and, I've got some guy who's super left-wing, super right-wing, and they're having a great debate among themselves, and that I find is more interesting than being around people who believe in what I believe in. It challenges me. I think I stay younger. And but we see the real importance of avoiding ideology, that what we deal with is the real basics. And the first of those, as I've made several references to, is the economy. The local economy is crucial. The concept of wealth creation, I've done a lot of study of the difference between creating wealth and converting wealth. And we would focus when we start the actual process of enrolling people, is we're going to focus on enrolling businesses. Because if you have people who bring jobs, the buyers for the houses come with them. If you have people who say, oh, I'd love to live there, but I have no idea what I'm going to do, you might find out that you don't have the economic foundation that you want. And the reason for doing the small to medium enterprises rather than concentrating on one big employer is that way, if somebody goes down, it doesn't mean you lose your whole economy. So the implication for the county, if we were to be welcome here, and so far I have to say there's so many good things I've seen. And it's just, as we drove up, it was just tick box after tick box, and just even that it was so easy to come here, to have this meeting today was just, things are looking very positive, and we're quite interested in that. This would be a process where we would work with you in a collaboration. typically when you have a developer come in, the role of the county is almost antagonistic. I don't know if that's the right word, but the developer's coming in with pecuniary interest. How are they going to make the most money they can, most of which is going to be extracted and taken out? And the role of the county is, in many regards, to protect the people who already live there from the adverse impact that could happen there. This doesn't work that way, because what we're having here in some regards, first of all, there will be quite a few people from the county who say, yeah, I want to live there. And so they'll already be involved in it. But the other people who say, I'd love to live in your county, understand they're coming in with a collaborative relationship. And so we've intentionally designed the process of creation of this in a way. What we do is we call it dynamic engagement. That's the planning process. And we actually take the land that we have agreed with you, and we will search with you to say what's the best land. We don't own the land. We will actually, it's going to be owned by the community that lives there, not by us. And I should mention, we call ourselves stewards, as opposed to, I'm not, the chief executive officer or chairman of the board, because stewardship implies we're here to make something happen, but it's not necessarily ours. What I'm going to get out of it is I'm going to get to live in it, and I look forward to that. But at this point, it's more what we can help create, both for those people who live there and for future generations that live there. So we would work in a collaborative relationship with you. When the land was identified and we agreed that's the right place, we actually do, right now, we're going to do it using a 100-to-1 scale model, and each village becomes a jigsaw puzzle. We cut that part out. We set it in the middle. And the planning actually is people setting the scale model of their house down, and in that planning where we're creating the whole model, we invite the community, the wider community, to come in as well. So if somebody's got some concerns, they actually raise those at the point the decisions are being made. Typically what happens now is you come in and you say, here's our plan, and then somebody says, let's take it to court, and it's only 2 weeks before the trial when the judge says, I want you guys to get together and start sorting this out, that you actually have those conversations. And we said, why don't we front end it? Why don't we have those conversations before any decisions are made, so the people who have concerns are able to voice those at that moment, and we work them out. And if we can't work them out, we say, this isn't going to work here. So let's move on, and it's much better we know it now. Now what that does is it lowers the cost, it lowers the energy, the anxiety level, and it rapidly speeds up the time of decision making. And some of that, I have to say, I learned from, I don't know if any of you have heard of William Donald Schaefer, the mayor of Baltimore. One of the best mayors that ever existed, they say. And he used to bring his staff in and just say, I want to hear how you're going to say yes. Because this was the restoration of the Inner Harbor. He said, these guys have come up with a good idea. There's no public money involved. It's all private money. But how can we work together in this for the betterment of Baltimore? And it went from an absolute slum that I used when I was a kid to one of the showcase cities in the country. And so it's how, one of the early dialogues is with the planning and the other officials is, how do we make your job easier? And just tell us what it is you have to deal with, and then how we can respond to that and create a structure that actually works from a positive perspective. That if there are rules we're unaware of, make us aware of those, and then let's have a dialogue about, are there ways we can comply with those rules, solve those sorts of problems in a win-win relationship. So it very much is a collaborative relationship that's being sought, not one that is the developer coming in and saying, this is what I want to do. From a technical standpoint, we establish the stewards, which is a company, establishes what we call the VillageTown Organizing Company, which would be a conventional California corporation. And the lawyers and things will tell us what the structure is to meet the state rules. The stock is held in trust by the stewards, and essentially then we hire the best professionals we can hire, the CEO, the chief of finance, the chief of engineering. And just because we're sitting here at the table doesn't mean we're the best. And all stewards have accepted first in does not mean you get the job. We're going to look for the most skilled professionals we can find to do the job. They will get paid for their work, but they don't, it's not something they take the profits away. Their job is to enroll the people who are going to live there, to qualify them with mortgages and bridge loans and this sort of thing, and then those are packaged into securitized bonds that we then sell on basically the pension funds, insurance funds, and sovereign funds are the three groups that look to buy those kind of investments. And that's how we build the VillageTown. So in essence, we have each person's home is financed through their own construction loan, but the building company that we use will be building all these villages at the same time in parallel. So we have huge savings in terms of efficiencies of scale. We're talking about allocating about a year for the first stage, where we do the enrollment of people, a year for the full planning, getting the financing nailed down, ordering all the factory machinery, the sorts of things we're going to need to build the houses, and then 1 year, 12 months of actual construction, at the end of which everybody moves in. And there's probably be a 2-month period of utter chaos as everybody's stepping on everybody as they, sort of like when university opens your first year, your opening day in September.